I think a little bit about what we talked about before. Client-centric outcome is not pushing the product, is around the advice. It's understanding the client's circumstances and their objectives, their needs, the risks of not achieving what they want to achieve, and then being able to put a plan in place. And I think importantly, and as part of the communication side of consumer duty, it's the client understanding that plan and engaging with us in that plan and understanding what they need to do, if you like, in terms of how they get there. So the client-centric outcome is being able to put that plan together, review it regularly with them, show them where they're on track, they're not on track, or where there has been some legislation change that's impacted what they're going to do. There's been some personal circumstances change that's impacted what they want. But it's that general engagement with the client and them being, open with us to say, well, this is the information you need. How do you get me from A to B? And then we get them there. That effectively is a good client outcome.
Yeah. Great.
And, I think some of the examples we've got around that, I think just touching on one on a personal basis, traveling down to London on a train to see a client when they announced pension freedoms, and effectively everything that we'd written was ripped up and had to get back on the train and start again. So, but it's understanding the client, understanding the legislation, and think, right, okay, we're going to have to change everything. But it's because you understand the client and their objectives and what they want as an outcome that you need to redo what you were doing in the first place. Yeah. But I think one of the more alarming issues that we see in client outcomes really is there's been a huge shift towards more personal responsibility around retirement planning and specifically around pension planning, which probably a lot of people aren't actually aware of. And the difficulty in actually managing that is probably starting to come home to a lot of people where we're seeing the first generation of people retiring who are predominantly reliant on their investments.
Yeah.
So what you're starting to see now as well is real shortfalls in retirement planning, and people's expectations of what they can get with what they've got is quite a marked difference. So I think a good client outcome is the earlier we can speak to people and understand what they want and what they need, and say, okay, this is where you are, and this is what we've got to do to get there. The sad or frustrating thing from our point of view sometimes is we see people right at the point of retirement, and there's no time to make up those shortfalls. But people haven't been aware they've had a shortfall. So it's getting that education piece of finance advice across.
Yeah, quite. The bits I would add to that, it can often mean a good outcome can only take place through a challenging conversation with a client now, and people have generally either pessimistic views of retirement, and sometimes they're misplaced. They feel that they're not on track for retirement, and they feel they have to work until they're 67, 68 and beyond, when actually, in fact, with some good planning and steering towards a successful retirement, it's just making sure everything is in place and working as efficiently as it can be. And that pessimistic view is irrelevant, and it can be made to come to fruition. On the other hand, though, you do have clients that are overly optimistic when it comes to retirement, and I think that poses a risk to the whole nation in many ways. So having that view of everything will be okay and burying your head in the sand will no longer really wash now. So gone are the days of the private defined benefit pension schemes that would underpin a lot of retirements. Those days are drawing to an end over the next few generations for sure. We've seen state pension increase in terms of age, and we've seen a lot of local authority normal retirement ages increase as well, so NHS to name but one. People need to get sufficient planning in place to ensure that they are on track, and as you've said, if they're not on track, they need to know what they need to do as early as possible. Really, is the longer you leave it, the less options that you'll have, the more financial pressure it will put you under. And with the new changes post 2016, with flexibly accessed pensions, as you mentioned there, you do run the risk of running out of money during your lifetime, which we don't want. We don't want clients entering the later stages of their life and having a really restricted lifestyle because of poor planning, perhaps during their working life.
Yeah, and I think all those examples come around to the key client outcomes. A good client outcome is get the advice right, get the products right, give the client peace of mind, so they are getting on with their life.
Yeah.
That fundamentally is the less they worry about us, but understand why we're there, the better their life is.
Yeah, quite.
They don't want to spend their whole time talking about their finances.
Yeah.
So I think it's our job to say, right, we know what the advice should be. We'll go away and work out what the products and services should be. You go and live your life and get on with it.
Quite right.